Okay, I'm going to talk about customer care now. Customer care is more than just customer service. It's more than that transactional service doing the things to process the sale. It's going above and beyond to show that you give a about this customer. It builds the customer relationship, the trust and the loyalty. The main thing I want to get across is that you should care about the person that you're dealing with, right? They're a human being who want to spend their hard-earned money with you, right? So how do we show that we care about as customers? I would say the biggest part of good customer care is in how we communicate, how we show that we care in how we speak or write to people. You know, treat every customer as though they're going to become a lifetime client, maybe even a friend, and imagine they're going to spend thousands of pounds with you over the years, right? Because they might. At first contact, be excited for their event, you know, tell them you love that design that they've sent. Right, it once took me 2 days back and forth to get a new customer for 6 cupcakes. It was painful. She wasn't being especially pernickety. I think that's why I followed through with it. She just didn't know how to place a custom order. And she took at least an hour or two to respond to each message that I sent. So I kind of stuck to my phone on a Sunday. Now, I've seen in the cake groups, I know a lot of people would just say that sort of effort's not worth it for 6 cupcakes, right? What if I told you that customer spent nearly £900 with me over the next year, you know? I nearly dropped her because she were a pain to deal with that first time. She'd just never ordered custom before. That 6 cupcake order, that was her trying me stuff because she knew she wanted to start ordering custom cakes, you know, on a regular basis, and she did. Other bakers had ghosted her or refused the order. Have patience. They're not all going to go on to spend that much, but that is part of business. Some pounds are harder earned than others are, but some are very easily earned, especially the longer somebody is our customer, and that's what we're aiming for. It's easy to forget we're submerged in cake world. Most people don't know how our products are produced. They don't know all those technical terms. They might never have ordered anything custom made before, so they just don't realise that all those little details are needed before we can even quote a price to them. A massive issue that I see is bakers like instantly dismissing people just for wanting to spend, say, 25% less. If price is the most important priority to them, that is normal nowadays. Don't immediately dismiss them, right? Because they could go and find a beginner or a lower budget baker, or they might come round to the idea of paying you a little bit more if your customer care is good. If you've come recommended to them, they know you've already got that reputation, right? So a low budget baker might quote 80 quid for a certain cake that you'd want 120 for. But if you work with that customer to cut the costs, drop some expensive toppers, go a size smaller, if you can meet them halfway at £95 without cost to you, they're going to appreciate that a lot. And once they've had a cake from you, they then should recognise why you charge a bit more, and then they'll become a long-term customer who's now happy to pay more because they've had that positive experience with you. Right. Respect is a bare minimum from you. It's sometimes difficult to convey tone in text messages rather than speaking, especially when we're trying to be professional-ish. You know, we're not trying to use emojis or kisses when we're talking to customers. So always read your responses back before you hit send. Create yourself like a bank of message templates as notes on your phone, so you're not having to use energy and emotions for every response. Because we need to respond quickly, but we need to show care. And when we're knackered or we're distracted, we might not convey the best tone. You need to come across friendly and approachable, but stay professional and keep your boundaries. I've done that whole lesson on customer boundaries. Go and find it. So positivity only and always in how you communicate. That includes what you post on your business social media. Don't consider it like arse kissing. It's not about being fake. You need to be aware of how you're coming across, and be aware that how you do come across has a very fast and direct effect on your sales, because you're the only face, the only voice of your business. It's about recognising this is a human being that's absorbing your content, that's getting messages from you. The better you come across, the better you treat them, the happier you will make them, and the more money they will spend in your business. It's about being that little bit more thoughtful, getting to the mindset of appreciating that somebody wants to put work your way. If you are genuinely grateful for that, which you should be, it makes it much easier to show them consideration. So at each stage of the ordering process, keep it easy for them. Keep them informed. Let them know what you need from them next, what they should expect next from you. Don't leave them asking, having to ask, how do I pay deposit? Things like that. If you miss one detail, that might make them feel awkward because they don't know what to do, how to do something. It's those tiny little ball drops that can lead to you losing a sale that could have led to a lot more sales. If you say, I'll get back to you in 2 hours, get back to them in 2 hours, right? Set a reminder on your phone if you have to. That person is expecting you to get back to them in 2 hours. If they don't hear anything, they're going to likely go elsewhere. And social media makes it very easy for them to do so. I will often recommend putting an out of hours response on your business page, with the auto reply. Do be very careful how you set it up. If you've ever messaged a business and each time you respond to their messages, you get exactly the same long paragraph basically saying, I've got other things to do than monitor this inbox, you should get a response within 48 hours. It's bloody irritating, innit? Always sign your business page messages with your first name so they know who they're speaking with. It just makes it a more personal connection and they know they're getting the same person each time. Excuse me. If your business has a presence on social media, and it really should, people will expect to be able to interact with your business there. Nobody's even going to notice that you've got orders by email only at the top of your bio. That will lead to frustration when they either don't get a reply or they get an auto reply sending them to email. It's an obstacle and it will absolutely lose your sales. Other bakers are replying right there on that platform that they're inquiring on. That old way of email and face-to-face consultations, it's changed forever now. Between social media, between 2020, the world's changed now. International brands respond on socials. Socials are easier for customers because they're on there anyway. They know how the platforms work. They can interact directly with the product photos that you've posted. You might send them to a beautiful website, fancy detailed order, inquiry forms. Is that what they want? Is it easy for them? Does sending them that link to fill out information that they've already typed out in a direct message to you make them feel cared for as a customer? Or are they going to bail out because it feels like an unnecessary obstacle, an obstacle that they won't get elsewhere? Right. Excuse me again. At all times, make them heard and appreciated. Thank them for trusting you with their order, right? We're online, but that is a human being behind the messages that you receive. So don't be rude, don't be dismissive at any time, even if they test you. Communicate exactly as you would if you had a shop and they'd just walked in. You're going to be a lot more careful about how you speak to them. Or imagine you're going to see them in Asda this afternoon, which you very much could do with local businesses. You don't want to piss them off. If you've got to say something that they might feel negative about, follow it up with a sweetener. If you can't do what they want at this time, still be helpful. Send them to one of your cake mates. Tell them you're gutted you can't do it. Be nice. They might come back in the future. Leave that door open for them. I've had times when I've had to stop working or I've had to stop making certain products. I've passed those inquiries on to my cake mates who I know can do a good job because it's still a positive experience with you for the customer. And they'll always remember that. So instead of saying, that'll be £230, full stop, say, you've got expensive taste there, that would be £230, but I can get it lower if needs be this way, Instead of saying, I'm fully booked, say, I'm sorry, I'm fully booked for that date, but my cake maker friend's really good at that style, End your interactions on a positive note only and always, and that leaves them happy to come back when they want to. Consistency. The order process, it should be the same every time for them, and it needs to be the same for every customer because people talk to each other. Everybody gets set the same boundaries, everybody's got the same payment terms, and they all get the same level of care from you. So be consistent in how you communicate. Imagine if you ask for Imagine you ask a supplier for something and they're all gushing with excitement about your order, they're replying straight away. As soon as you make a payment, silence. You know, you get delayed, short responses. You're unclear about when you're going to get your order. You know, you're having to wait a day for replies. That's inconsistency in your attitude, and it's a poor customer service experience. As I've said, by spending a bit of time creating message templates as notes on your phone, you can quickly just personalise them, copy and paste into your inbox. That helps you to maintain that same energy throughout for that customer and for every customer the same. If a customer didn't pay the first time until they were standing at your door, but the next time you want payment up front, you know, we live and learn to do that, don't we? Of course, that's acceptable. It's a better way of doing things, but it is good to explain why and to explain that it is a permanent change for all customers, because that inconsistency causes confusion, and that's a negative customer experience. If your brand and your marketing are high end, but you're pinging the phones at midnight and you're putting kisses and loads of emojis on your messages, right? There's a disconnect between what they're expecting and what they're getting, right? And it goes for the other way around. They're not going to expect to be sent to a fancy website to fill in an order form if you're posting unedited photos on your messy cooktop surrounded by icing sugar and mucky pots. So keep all your branding and the way you communicate all at the same level. Right, more notes about good customer service then. People do like to order last minute sometimes. I personally always hated it, especially when I was just an occasion cake business, because I'd have my work schedule planned 3 to 4 weeks in advance. But it is possible, if you are able to win a Larry over and train them to order earlier next time. For a good customer service experience that will get you more sales, do always try to be able to give them what they want, even if they are pushing it for time. You know, you can keep a few sponges in freezer or plenty of ingredients in, your boards and boxes in stock. Try to stay ahead, you know, get prepared for other orders as early as you can when you're less busy, so you can fit more orders in on the busy weeks because you're well prepared. This all helps with keeping people happy and making more sales if you are able to do so. Once you've done this for them at last minute and made them happy, ask them when the next occasion is, ask their permission to remind them well ahead of time, and they will appreciate that because they're almost always busy mums who order cakes out there. One note, don't ever tell anyone that you're stressed or worried about their order. Don't tell your entire social media following that you're struggling, you've overbooked yourself, you haven't slept and you don't know how you're going to get today's orders finished. Imagine how a customer or a potential customer would feel reading that. Positivity only and always. We all love a rant, don't we, about an unpleasant customer. We all get support from friends and as regulars when we post because everybody loves the drama, right? But before you click publish, imagine you were a potential customer reading what you're about to post. Imagine you're a regular, good, well-behaved customer and you read that one person's pissed me off today, so from now on everybody's got a 15-minute collection window, no exceptions, you know. they're not going to be very happy. Right, I'm going to have lost my place in a minute. Right, you are allowed to feel those feelings. You are a business. It's best for the longevity of your business to keep it professional. Care and consideration for everybody always, because you never know who's watching, who could turn into a big spender. Customer care doesn't end with the order being delivered either. Keep up that relationship in between orders. Remind them about you. It gets them to come back, gets them to recommending you, you know. It's easy for us as social media based businesses to get to know our customers. Obviously with boundaries that suit you and them. If you do follow each other on social media, and it's your choice if you want to do that, engage occasionally with what they post. I don't mean sell to them. Laugh at the memes, yeah? If they're asking where's good for a carvery, tell them. Wish them happy birthday. Don't be inauthentic. Definitely don't be salesy. Just keep that little friendly tether attached so they don't forget your name before next time they want to order something. So keep on building that know, like and trust factor, because our customers can become our friends, right? Remember them. While they are in your inbox, ask them how the mum is. Did they have a good holiday? Not in a creepy way. Only if they've mentioned them things to you or if you've engaged with that content that they've posted. And when they inquire again, remember what they're like. What do they expect? What do they prioritise? Do they always have a lower budget, or do they always want the massive showstopper? Do they want the fancier gourmet flavour options, or do they just prefer vanilla every time? It's actually easy to do that just by scanning back through the messages. So remind yourself who they are when they get back in touch so you can serve them better. I've got a terrible memory for names, even faces sometimes. So I keep messages and I quickly scan through socials if I feel the need to remind myself who people are, especially when they've changed their Facebook name, which does happen. When you're having the feedback conversation a few days after their order, which I always recommend you should do, just gently ask them to book in with plenty of notice if they want your services again. You know, summer's looking busy. Ask them, do they want you to message them a month before their next birthday to remind them to book the cake in? Mark it in your work diary to do so if they say yes. If they've bought your calendar occasion treats, you know, like Valentine's, Mother's Day, Easter, give them first dibs on Halloween and Christmas boxes, you know, just I won't want you to miss out, as long as they don't mind you doing that. Don't be randomly dropping sales pictures in their inbox, but it's just about keeping up that relationship and making them feel that you care, because you should care. And what you put in comes back to you. All of this stuff done well means more sales, more recommendations, and therefore more money.